Happy December. The last final month of 2025, I have written 5 plays out of 6 to this month, and I'm really excited to talk about them with you right now. And once we're done, I'll tell you a little bit more about what my plan is for the next year and the next month, and what else you can expect from me coming forward. Let's get into it. You'll notice that the first play from this month had no play. I'll tell you why. In my last video, surely I mentioned that I was in Toronto doing basic actor combatant training. Well, I'm happy to tell you I'm now an actor combatant. I am a trained basic actor combatant. I did some writing on the plane there, and I did some writing on the plane back. But the middle week where it was all during the workshop, I didn't get a thing done. I was extremely tired. I often went to sleep as soon as I got back from the workshops. It was quite intense, but also very, very cool. So that's why there's no play in that first week. Sorry about that. But let's just jump into the next week of December. And also I'll explain that there's 6 plays this month because the month itself accommodates 5 weeks worth of plays. But the last week, the week 52, ended on a Tuesday. Today is Wednesday, December 31st. So this last play was written today. So it's, when I planned out the year, I knew that this last play would be very short because it would be only written in one day. But I also wanted to go ahead with the 53. So that's why I did that. I knew it would be kind of a short little timeline to get that play done and then get this video up before the end of the year, but I figured I would be up to the challenge, and you tell me if the video is up on time, if that's what I did. I squeezed one in at the end there. So let's talk about the first one this month. I've recorded a little video for you to watch, so go ahead and watch that. Hey, Vsauce, August here. Have you had siblings? Because I have. This play was about siblings. But I've got to be honest, you're not going to be able to read it. It's not for you. But honestly, I wrote this play because of some people I met in Toronto. We had a really great dynamic. We wanted to write something for the 3 of us. So I'm not going to give it to you because that would be unfair. It's not just my work, so therefore it is not mine to give out. I'm calling it Unnamed Sibling Play. I think it'll be fun. Bye. All right, so let's get into the categories here. There's 4 pages, 2,134 words. You'll notice most of those are actually just part of the outline, but I'm gonna count it. That's what I did during that week. That's how much I got done, and so it counts as part of the prep and planning. So you'll notice the themes of memory and family and grudges. I wasn't sure if that was counting as a theme, but it's definitely a part of the show, so I'm gonna count it. Took me about 3 hours to write. Most of that was the plane ride back from Toronto to where I am, Halifax. For prep and planning, I did write a character breakdown and then an outline of the scenes. That's kind of all that this draft is. There's also a little bit of scene 1, but for the most part it's that. But those counts. That's prep, that's planning. That's gonna help me later when I wanna keep developing this. For potential, it's high. I also have comedy at 40%, drama at 60%. I haven't written it yet, so we're not sure quite which way it's going to go, but I have a feeling both of those are going to be in a decent amount, 40, 50, 60. You'll also notice no friend approval ratings for pretty much all of these plays. Just the turnaround was too quick. Everybody's busy in December. Nobody has time for this little side thing that I'm doing, so that's fine with me. I'm getting used to that, having nobody to read these plays. Over the year, I got less and less. I guess people just got more busy or had less time for this, which is a shame, but it's okay. So I think for potential costumes, it should be modern Toronto, just because that's where it's set in Toronto. I'm like one of those people who went on vacation somewhere and won't shut up about it. I'm like, I went to Toronto for 2 weeks, therefore everything has to do with Toronto now. My favorite line is, "What's this?" And then Mark says, "Beaver." I just like how straightforward it is. What is it? Beaver. It's Beaver. Favorite character, I haven't written them, so I can't say yet which one's my favorite. And also that would be unfair. It's a sibling play, and you know how they hate when you pick favorites. Any parents in the crowd, am I right? And I give it an overall rating of 3 just because it's barely anything at this point, but I do think it already has some good merits. It's gonna make into a better play later when I keep writing it. So this next one, I also made a little video for, I think right here. So transition to a little bit to the right. This is a window, and this play is about a bug in a terrarium looking through a window. Crazy. A gecko named Bug is looking through the window and imagining what it would be like to live out in that area. Read it, enjoy it. Now transition back to me. Wow. What a varied locale. So this one is called Terrarium. It's 2 pages, it's 676 words. It is themes of waiting in versus out and the natural versus the not natural. It took me about an hour to write, not very prepped or planned. It was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. Low potential just because I wrote it with this idea of like, what if there's a parallel between these like old letters for World War I, World War II, you know, where they're like, when will they come back from war? But what if it was just a gecko in a cage, just with a bad sense of time? And I think it's pretty clear in the script that there's only so much you can do with that idea. That's what I found, at least, writing it. So I'm sure I could expand a little, but for potential, pretty low. 75% comedy, 10% drama, definitely more of a comedy. And no friends read this one, so... And then for costumes, I think it should be like plasticky, kind of faux real clothing, like you know, in the Barbie movie, how everyone's clothes in that one had this very artificial quality to it, even though it was real clothing. I think we should have something like that, where it's like those plastic ferns, the rocks that are actually not made of rock, like, you know, all those things that you find in a terrarium that seem real but aren't. I think it should have that quality to it. My favorite line is, "Oh, poster of Zac Efron, we're really in it now." I think that's just a funny, funny thing for a gecko to say. And my favorite character is Already Dead Cricket. I'm a big fan of Already Dead Cricket. I love how he's not already dead. It's like one of my favorite characters from Muppet Treasure Island, Dead Tom, who is dead and has been dead the whole time. And I give it a 5 in total, probably because I think it has a lot of merits, but it also has nowhere to go. So it's like middle ground. It's got, for what it is, it's funny. For what it could be, it's not much. We'll move on to the next play this month, week 51, not play 51. And I also made a little video about this one. Ignore the fact that my shirts are the same in all of these videos. I've been wearing the same shirt for a while now. I actually never changed shirts all month. Roll the clip. Dear God, please make this next play about God and reverence to God. And then God was like, yeah. So that's what this play is about. It's about God and reference to God. I wanted to have at least one interesting religious monologue, simply because I grew up with religion as a big part of my life. So I just wanted to have one or two that had some connotations in that way, that played with those ideas and used them in an interesting way. That's what this one does. I hope it is interesting more than it's confusing, because it will be both. So, I think I had also, right before writing this one, I had just saw Wake Up Dead Man, the Knives Out movie, so inspiration comes in many forms. Anyway, enjoy it. So this one is called Painting Confessions. I'm not so big on the name. I might change it. It's very unfinished. It's kind of like episode 1 of an episodic thing that should have more coming. 2 pages, 589 words. I have themes of sin and forgiveness, nature versus nurture. Took me about an hour to write. It's not very big. Not applicable for prep or planning, other than my religious upbringing, I guess. Does that count? Did I plan this using that? No, not really. Medium to high potential, because I do like the way the play contrasts the way the character thinks versus what's real to them, and you know, also the responses that we get from whoever they're talking to, God, presumably, kind of make it more interesting in that way as well. So I think there's something to work with here. 30% comedy, 80% drama. I think it's definitely more dramatic than comedic, but I always can't help but put a few things in there. Costumes would be historical religious, so I'm thinking those sort of old friar robes with the penitent tie and the rosaries dangling. Like, I think something like that would work well for this one. Some very classic religious imagery there. My favorite line, it's not my favorite line, but it's a line that I think was interesting, is "At my birth I caused 2 deaths." That, I think that's kind of the crux of the whole thing, is like, at my birth I caused 2 deaths. That's my nature. But is that what happened to me growing up? Like, you gotta have these two things against each other. Do not take that out of context. Crap. And my favorite character is Tante Helen. I actually have a Tante named Helen. If you don't know what Tante means, it's the Dutch word for aunt. I have a Tante Helen. I wrote her into this one. I think by instinct, I was just like, what's the name of this character? Actually, it would make perfect sense if it was Tante Helen. Sorry, Tante. And I gave it an overall rating of 6 because, again, it's very short for what it could be. I want more. I wanted to write more. That's on me. December's very busy. My bad. So, we're going to move on to our next play. This one actually has a very interesting story around it. I think I explained so in the video you're about to see. Here you go. Hiya. I've just finished taking part in a very cool thing that happens in the city where I live as part of a local theater's. They have an event, a fundraising event, where they gather a bunch of writers, actors, performers, directors, stage managers, and put on a piece of theater in 24 hours. The writers get 12 hours to write it, the rest of the team gets 12 hours to rehearse and prepare it, and then it gets put on. This happened a few days ago now, and I was lucky enough to be one of the writers for this event. So I'm counting it as one of my plays because I wrote it in the day, and I'm using it for one of my weeks. So it's called The Focus Group. It's about 3 people who are in a room, bored as hell, watching or waiting for this focus group to start. And over the course of the play, it's about 10 minutes long, you realize that the boredom is the point. Somebody is intentionally getting them to be bored through making them wait, giving them a watch to look at, taking away everything else they could do while they're in that room. And I won't spoil it, but it has a very fun ending, and it went over really well when it was shown a few days ago in front of a group of people. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm glad that I'm ending the year of plays with one that is pretty fun and kind of fully developed. I will have a chance to keep working on this one with the resource center where I live, but before I do that, I'm just happy to have a good script that went over well in front of a group of people who I'm very impressed by and who I'm really inspired by, and then I'm glad that they also were impressed and inspired by my work. So it's a happy day for me. That was a fun day. Yeah, so that one was presented in front of a group of people at a fundraiser, and it was really fun. I can't show you any clips from it because that's illegal according to the unions that we're under, but I wish I could. It's really fun, and the audience interactions were great. There were so many funny moments that weren't in the script that I'm gonna add into the script now because of how well it went. But I'm gonna stop gushing and just get into it. So it was called The Focus Group. It was 10 pages, 1,717 words. I like that I did the 2 pairs of 17. Themes of boredom and feminism is also in there, and collaboration. I think there's this really interesting thought where the characters are getting bored, but if they had just talked to each other, they wouldn't be getting bored, but they didn't for like an hour. And there's some interesting stuff in there. I know exactly how long it took. It took me 5.5 hours. I know this because the person who was running the fundraiser timed us and didn't tell us they were going to do that. Timed us and had a little mini competition to see who finished their play fastest out of the 7 groups. I might have won, very barely. The next person, I wrote my play in 5 hours, 23 minutes, and they wrote theirs in 5 hours, 27. It was very close. I don't know why I said that or what that means, but just so you know, I know exactly how long this one took because there was a secret timed competition that I wasn't aware of. So, 5.5 hours. No prep and planning. I kind of didn't have anything other than the team that I was going to have. So I knew how many actors there were going to be, but that was all I really had to work with. High potential because I already have ideas for how to make it bigger and how to make it better. 90% comedy, 10% drama. It's very much a comedy. And I do have a little bit of audience approval because when the show finished, people were cheering and clapping. So I put wahoo audience at the showing. They liked it. I got some other like compliments from people at the showing, but for the general most part, they said, "Yay, that was fun," and I said, "Hooray!" For costumes, I think it should just be a variety of modern costumes, nothing really fancy there. And my favorite line, said angrily at the sky, is, "Why didn't we read the terms and conditions?" That's said by Mael, one of the 3 main characters here. And if I had to pick between all 3 of the main characters, I wouldn't do that. I like all 3 of them. I wrote them really nicely. One of them's a misogynist, so maybe not him so much, but yeah, I do like them. I like the characters. And I gave it a 10. It went over so well. I really am pleased with it. I don't think its flaws are in its way at all. I think it's a fun time, and I can't wait to make it better and put it on again and see how people like it now. So that's that one. Here's a video now about the last play this month. Hey folks, this is a little hole in the bottom floor of my building where mice will come out every once in a while. We have 2 cats here, and occasionally they just like to sit over here and stare at this hole because one time a mouse came out and our cat Eddie caught it, killed it, and now waits for the next one. I think they've caught on, so that's why they don't come out anymore. But the reason I'm filming in front of this mouse hole is because this play, just like the very first play I wrote in the entire year, this one being the last one, is about rats. That's cool, right? This is actually about a rat duel. 2 rats who have a lot of family history and a lot of trauma, supposedly, are dueling to the death. They have different ideologies. They have different feelings about their upbringing, what they've come from, what sort of privileges they've based their lives on. And one of them will not back down. The other will not back down either. And so the duel must end with one of their deaths. I figured the first rat play was really fun and comedic, so this one should be very serious, dramatic. And I liked doing a bookend where the first play and last play of the year has been rats. I think that's fun. I don't know if I actually called it anything. Maybe I'll call it Raticus and Ratmond. I don't know, whatever I feel. So, unlike what I just said in that video, I'm actually calling this one Rat Duel. And I think it's 3 pages, 431 words, themes of family, ideology, and conflict. It took me about an hour-ish. I actually don't have a good measurement for this one. I just know it was around an hour to write. Not applicable for prep or planning. Low to medium in terms of potential. I think there's something to work with here, but there's not enough development and specificity to make it something better than that. 40% drama, 50% drama, 40% comedy. I think it's at the moment it's kind of both, because it is like this very, very serious topic, but it's also rats. So I think there's an inherent comedy that would come out in the showing. No friend approval, oopsie. For costumes, I put rat naissance. I think it should be rat renaissance. I like this word, rat naissance. I think it's fun. I don't know. My favorite line is, "Beheaded any more of your children lately?" Which comes from Raticus. Just a wild way to say that, I think. And it drops it's like a huge lore dump in that moment where you're like, what? They were beheaded their own children? My favorite character has to be Raticus because the other one is not very nice of a person. has some issues to deal with. And for overall rating, I put it at a 5. So that is all for the month of December. That is every play. And we are at a grand total of 49 plays. I did not get to 53 like my goal was. When I updated my goal down to 50, I didn't get that either. But actually, all 49 of these plays were written in my weekly play format. But there was a play that I wrote this year, a full one-act play. It's an hour long. It was presented in full at the festival. It was well received. It won some awards. If I'm counting in my year how many plays I've written, I would put that number at 50. 50 plays in all of 2025. That feels very impressive to me. That's certainly more plays than I've ever written before. And that is a successful year. I have two other things I'm planning to do in this new year that I would like to share with you now. Thing number one is a few weeks into January, I'm going to get a group of people together and read a selection of these 50 plays. And then I'll cut up the video of the readings and put them together as sort of like a highlight reel of all the plays that I've made. Because sometimes plays are much better when they're heard instead of read. Something else that I'm planning to do, 2025 was writing plays. And I thought about it all year, what I was going to do in 2026, because I don't want to just end the challenge and move on. I feel like there's still more to do. A lot of these plays were nice and fun, but they were so small, underdeveloped, short, and I want them to be bigger. I want them to be better, and I want them to have more to say. And some of them do have more to say. So I thought 2026 should be development. If 2025 was the year of writing plays, 2026 is going to be the year of developing. My plan is to do the same format once a month, make a video, but I'm going to challenge myself in two different ways this time. I'm going to take a play, maybe one of these, maybe something else, and I'm going to try to revise, edit, develop, and really expand it into something bigger, that's something better. And I might take a few of them and put them together and make something bigger out of them. But in general, I'm going to be taking a play and developing it into a bigger, better version. I think it's going to be a great next step. And I still want to do the timed format because I think it was working. It's actually sort of kicking my butt in gear in a good way. I don't like wasting time, and it doesn't feel like I'm wasting time doing this. And the second challenge this year, something that I didn't really touch on for all of this year, is that I do make music. What I want to do is each month that I've developed a play, I want to write a song for it and produce that song. So at the end of each month, I'll make a video just like these ones. And in that video, I won't break down a few plays. I'll instead break down one play that I've developed into something bigger and a song that I've written alongside of it. That's my plan for 2026. I think it'll be a good plan. I really think it's the next big step, the next good step for me. And I'm excited if anybody wants to join me on that journey. I've been recording this video for a while, and my words are getting so bad, so I think I need to stop talking. Thank you for watching. It's been a great year. Thank you for joining me if you did. And I'll see you hopefully soon in the next one. Bye.